All right, we'll bring tonight's Monday, November 24th meeting to order. Tonight, we have with us Kelly Bigos, our recording secretary, Tom Wooden, town manager, and selectmen Jay Warren, Russ Hoffman, myself, Denise Griffin, Bill Hamlin, Wendy Wolf, and in the audience, we have Julia Latter, our financial secretary. So, we'll move on to town manager announcements. Tom.
Thank you, Denise. I just wanted to make the board aware that the Lincoln County Commissioners have sent the town a certificate of recognition for achieving the Main Spirit of America's esteemed 2013 Silver Distinction for admirable efforts aiding volunteerism, and thank Booth Bay Harbor for helping to make this a better country. So we'll frame that and put that up at some point. But
Very good.
thought you'd want to know that.
Oh, great.
It was also brought to my attention earlier that we traditionally cancel the December 22nd meeting of Christmas week. How does the board feel about that? Would you like to do that?
I think we should meet twice.
At your house?
Yeah, yeah, sure. Eggnog and all that other stuff, sure. No, that's all right with me.
Sounds like a great
Is that
idea.
all right?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Todd Hartung, who's the EMA director in Lincoln County, has asked the board to formally appoint myself as the acting EMA director and Nick Upham as the acting EMA deputy until we get those filled on a full-time basis. That is helpful to them as far as their chain of command, as far as who to communicate with during emergencies. So I would ask the board if you would appoint those two people as acting EMA director and acting EMA deputy this evening.
Well,
We had done that once.
We talked about it, but we didn't actually vote on it.
Yeah.
We're actually doing the job, but we haven't actually been
Right.
appointed to it. So it's a technicality.
Okay.
I think we can certainly do that. I think that we probably should I think we should continue to seek out other people, though.
So do I. I'd be glad to give it up.
Permanent, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we ran an ad for 3 weeks.
I
and
know.
The only 2 applications we got for people that wanted a full-time position. And these are very, very
Yeah.
part-time.
I
So
know.
any suggestions on how to do that, I'd be glad to hear.
Yeah, I'm not sure I have any suggestions other than the time-honored, talk to your friends and neighbors, but I do think we need to fill those positions. I do think we did not have the response that we would like to have in the last storm, so I think it's important to fill the position.
I do too. I think
So do
it's the last storm, we had problems, so we want to make sure we fill those positions and look for people that want to fill them. We probably put another advertisement in the paper.
I think you'd be awfully good at it, Jay.
Oh,
You've got time, don't you, Jay?
I used to do it.
Well, you might be the best person to maybe approach some people and make personal
I will
asks.
do that.
And if
There
you're
you go.
willing to do that, I'd be willing to do it with you.
Okay,
So,
We'll do it
if
together,
you,
yeah.
But,
yeah. In the
yeah.
meantime, we need to get somebody in case this storm coming in.
I
Nick and I'd be
move,
glad to give this up at the earliest possible.
Okay.
I move that we appoint Tom Wooden as acting director of EMA and Nick Upham as acting deputy director of EMA.
Second. Sure. Oh,
Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Okay, just while we're on this topic, I heard Joe Cupo in the weather forecast tonight, and he said maybe 4 to 8 inches Wednesday.
Oh, my gosh.
I didn't hear anything about, ice and wet snow and all that kind of stuff, so I don't want to get overly nervous about this, but if we have another situation like we did at the last storm, can you make sure you talk to the whole
Well, we have 2
staff?
more employees than we did the last time. We have two part-timers
Okay.
to help with the
Yeah.
snow plowing. The major issue we had at the last storm was a CMP-related issue.
Right.
As you know, I wrote a letter, as you
Yes.
asked me to, and I'm playing phone tag with the person who's responded back from Central Maine Power regarding that. But
So they haven't responded to you?
well, they're trying to, and I'm trying to respond to them as well. But they know that there was an issue on that one day where they didn't come down to
Right.
check that McCown Point issue. So, as you directed, we are moving in the right direction with that as well.
Right. I just think we want to put our best foot forward and make sure that we have do our best with keeping communications open and getting communications out to residents as we can, and making sure that we get in touch with the county and because they can certainly help with I think, with coordinating with CMP and tree removers.
Yeah,
as
just
well.
so you know, they were not getting coordinated help from CMP either. They had the same trouble we did. So, but yeah, I agree with you, Denise.
So, I'm just a little worried. That's all. And when you're gone on vacation,
It's
should
going to
we
be
not
perfect
have?
weather, nothing will happen. Yeah.
Yeah.
I bought trip insurance this time.
Well, I know, I'm more worried about who do we call in case something's gone wrong. So
Right.
in that situation, if we don't have anybody else in place by then, and that's only a few
Chris
weeks away.
and Nick and Bob will step
Okay.
up just like they always do. I wouldn't worry about that. So, you're in good hands.
And I'm around, so
And Jay-
people don't realize, I don't say too much, but I'm around a lot, checking things out, so,
You
I'll
were
be-
down in Count Point?
I know I was. Trying to find Central Maine Power. Okay.
Right,
That's all I have.
great.
So,
Yep, go ahead, I'm
Go ahead.
sorry.
actually,
Wendy.
Tom, I wonder if, for the viewing audience, if you'd like to report on the water thing that you and I have been going back and forth,
I
just so folks know.
I mean, you have, I didn't bring anything to talk about with that as far as the water project. I did mention it at the last meeting, but I think the only question you had was how did people get notified of it? And it's basically just a one-sentence answer, I think, there from John Ziegler, is how they're going to notify the people in McCown Point.
Right, I mean, the water district is planning to have water off on McCown Point Road, I think for about 8 hours on Sunday, the 30th, and there was no notice or anything publicizing this, so I was asking how are residents going to know that this is going to occur. I must say, after email, we finally got an answer that the water district is going to hand deliver notices so people know that the water's off. It's a potential issue for the DMR because the aquarium depends on water, but residents are unaware that water is going to be off for 8 hours on Sunday, and I think they need to be informed of that. I think the rest of the water outage occurs in Southport, and they talked about that at the Southport meeting.
Well, they have set up temporary water from the Four Corners to the bridge while they're blasting on the left side of the road and putting in bigger pipes. So they're going to actually have temporary water. The area that they're working on at the entrance to McCown Point, I guess there's 3 access points to the piping there, and they have to take all that out, and that's what shuts McCown Point down, and enlarge that. And once that's all done, then the water will come back on. So
Yeah, it was interesting that the only public notification was going to be the discussion at the Southport meeting, and I indicated that, although I'm sure it's riveting, that many Booth Bay Harbor residents usually don't go to the Southport meeting, so. Anyway, thanks for persisting.
yeah, no problem.
Okay, so, moving on, financials, Julia.
Total revenue year to date, $4,093,771.32. Total expenses, $3,970,702.73. Does anyone have any questions on the revenue and expenses? We are on target for the revenue compared to this time last year, and our expenses, as I noted last September's meeting, are up about 5%. Due to the fact that we've already invested into the capital reserve accounts and paid the county bill, we're a little bit ahead of the game as far as the $189,000 for the cold storage building and stuff. Do you have any questions?
When will we see that coalesce?
Well, I
back-
figured it
back
out,
to be-
I'm guessing, not guessing, but I estimated probably within 6 to 7 weeks that
Okay.
it will start. I would say probably 2 more accounts payable, and because tonight's accounts payable was really low, so.
Okay.
The accounts payable for this evening is $65,617.50. And total bank balance, $2,095,568.47.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. Can we have a motion to approve the minutes of the last meeting, which was held on November 10th?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion?
I'm going to abstain from that
You
since
were
I
not
wasn't
here.
here.
Okay. Any other edits, amendments? No, hearing none? All in favor? Okay, motion carries. Old business. So under old business, how about if we take these in reverse order, since we have some guests in the audience, and we'll move right to the chime, if you all don't mind, moving right to the chime stock proposal?
Sure.
Okay. So this is a continuation of something that was held a couple of months, August, several months ago.
First application was dated June.
June.
And because my husband was involved in the real estate transaction, I recused myself at that point. So I'm going to do the same thing again. I'm going to come sit in the audience. Jay will take over.
Okay. I guess it's time for you, Joe, to say what you have to do.
Okay.
May I say, I want to say right up front, any changes?
I think not from the last plan you saw. We did, and let me make sure, I brought copies to make sure everybody's on the same page, if that's all right.
Yep.
It's referred to as it has a different name, but it's called the arrangement, but you are seeing this,
This one, right?
this one. This is what was discussed, that was the change that was actually discussed, that at the selectmen's meeting, after we met at the, oh, you got one.
Is it Exhibit 2?
Let's make sure we're on. Yeah, you got it right there. Yeah. Yeah. We'll just call it the L arrangement, I guess, as opposed to the Z. So it consists of the current structure, I'll just review it all night.
Yep.
Current structure consists of that, the 6 by 63 foot pier, the 3 by 40 foot ramp, and the 10 by 30, what I call existing float. The proposal is to add two floats, two 10 by 30s. Originally, the first proposal, I think when you had that, maybe Bill had, went this way, that's what they call it, the Z. And then there was a question of a float out here, I think belonged to Mr. Stoddard. So we rotated it 90 degrees, and that was modified. The DEP permit was modified, the Corps permit was modified, and submerged lands. Didn't make any difference, the footprint was the same to them. So since then, the Giants Association Group has met with the Ebb-Tide abutters, also neighbors, and that was, they brought a proposal with them, and I've got a copy of that. Would you be interested in seeing it?
Yes.
Yes, sure.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Everybody's seen it here, so I won't pass it out to the audience again. But let me get it open too well here.
Excellent.
Okay, what they proposed, I'm going to refer to as the rhombus design, because it has 6 sides. I hope that's rhombus, I think it is. So, and that was actually brought to an association meeting. They were invited, and they came up with that proposal. It had no scales on it. The association decided they'd like to, well, first of all, they asked me for my input, and then they also asked if we'd get some feedback from the DEP and the Corps. So in order to do that, I just can't send a sketch in alone without some dimensions. So I scaled it off all the dimensions we had here, which were well known, okay? And so, and this is just a copy of what I did to create, just to make sure we represented it properly to, sorry, excuse me. That's the original. We'll get some more. Sorry. So, and the whole idea there was, anytime you send something into the agencies, they're gonna make sure all the dimensions are appropriate. So, basically, that's it. It's a rhombus design, and that was what was proposed, without too many options, by EBTIDE. So, we sent it into, I sent it into the Corps, the DEP, and Bureau of Parks and Lands, and basically, I represented, I believe, as it should be. It's this is the letter that went to people. Pardon me for all this stuff, but I just don't try to keep it in order here. This is the letter that went to the DEP, which is Andrea LaPointe, is the project manager, and Pete Tischbein is the Corps, and Carol DeBello is Bureau of Parks and Lands. So I said, I sent the drawing, I sent that, take a look, what you think. And I'll give you, again, I'm just gonna, well, you can just take a look at that quickly. But so this is the response we got back from the DEP and the Corps. I'll be more than happy to answer any questions as I go along here.
Joe, is there anybody representing EOS here this evening?
I didn't see him. I would have passed it out to him if I thought there was, Tom, but I don't see him. So the answer is no, I guess. Yep. So basically, at the meeting, the statement was made by, say something, a person that's not here, but I'll tell you what he said. He said that he thought that his proposal, based on his past experience, would be readily acceptable to the regulatory agencies. So again, that's why the association, particularly the association president, asked me to go ask him, what do you think? So you have two responses there. The first one is the Corps, and the second one is the DEP. And the bottom line is, frankly, the Corps never heard of him. So he hasn't obviously talked to the Corps of Engineers. They checked around the staff, and there's the only 5 project managers that are up there, now 6, had not heard of Tom Yale or Deborah Yale. But that's okay, nor had they seen a rhombus. And and the DEP, what if you, I mentioned on that drawing I did there, that there's a difference in size of, what is it? I'm reading backwards here, but, yeah, thank you. Yeah, the effective size is 900 square foot change versus 1269. So the rhombus design would be a little bigger, and then, and frankly, I was asked my opinion. My opinion is be the last thing I'd recommend to anybody. If an owner came to me and said, "Would you do this?" I'd say, "Go get someone else to do the permitting," because I don't see it. Okay, it's not a structure that's readily approachable. You'd always be coming in, unless you had a bow thruster, you'd always be trying to nose in with a bow on your port and your stern all the time, and who needs that, right? So, yeah, versus the approach that has been recommended to you, which is the L shape, in which you got a lot of surface area to come in and make an approach. And a less experienced driver, it's easy. I mean, that's what you really want to do, is make it easy on people.
So you want the L shape?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The other than
Can I ask if you considered, I don't know who this is, USA's,
That's the Army Corps.
says, why not take the third outer 10 by 30
Yep.
float, double it back parallel to the other, creating a slip in the middle, reducing visual impact, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, let me show you what he's talking about, Wendy. I did actually consider that, and I'm just going to sketch it out. What he's really saying is, take this one that we have out here and rotate it back in.
Yeah.
The problem is, the reason we're going out is because we have ledge in here.
Ledge.
So you're gonna put people right in the middle of that ledge, so the answer is absolutely not.
You don't want to slip.
We're trying to move
inside.
out.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
You're trying to move out, not in, yeah.
Yep.
So that's the reason.
The only thing I would comment is in South Freeport Harbor, Harrisika River, the yard there, it's a brewer's yard now, it used to be various things, had some hexagonal floats like that to increase their docking space, and they worked out okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked to Joe, and I think everybody knows, Joe Blake. I think Joe's about the nicest guy you're ever gonna meet, never says anything bad about anybody. I said, what do you think? And he says, well, it'll create a lot of interest. I think you probably get the message. So, Joe,
So you're
so
proposing
the L shape,
the L shape here?
yes.
So are you proposing this one?
No,
No.
that was what was in the, in the works.
The one we originally looked at? No,
No, this is the
It's
second
actually,
one.
it's number 2.
that was the one we looked at before.
No, this was the first one we looked at. This was the first hearing. This was the second hearing.
I obviously don't have my notes.
This is
So on this, there's no change
there's no change.
since we met?
Right, that's
Zero.
correct.
But in here, there's changes, so I'm talking about the one we just threw out.
Oh, yeah, they're not doing it, yeah.
That's good.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Wendy, if I might answer a question for Wendy. Wendy, the first drawing, which was that one that went out here,
Yes.
was dated 4/2. And this one here is dated 6/23.
And the objection to this was what?
There was a mooring out there, I think owned by Mr. Stoddard, that he thought might interfere. So at the Wars and Weirs hearing, we actually talked about rotating that 90 degrees, and then they met, well, they tried to meet with the selectmen, they were off by an hour, we were all off by an hour. But anyway, that was what was presented to the selectmen.
Yeah, and
Right.
this was deemed, I believe, again, I don't want to put words in Mr. Yale's corner, but I believe this was deemed more acceptable to him than this.
Yes. Bill, you're right. I remember what Mr. Yale said.
And, I'm sorry, did the Yales get the notice of adding this onto the agenda?
Not that I know of.
How are we supposed to
I
make
mean,
a decision?
I didn't know until this evening what was being presented. They just asked to be on the agenda. So, I mean, I'm disappointed that the Yales weren't notified and brought to this as well, because I think they're an integral part of this.
Yeah, I don't feel we can make any, unless you want feedback, but I don't think we can make any decision without having both parties.
Maybe we can help me get my head back in this game since
Sure.
it's been a little while. So, Joe, you're here representing the Chimes
Absolutely.
people. And your proposal is this one.
That's correct.
And this proposal is by the
Ed
abutters to
Ed
the
Tide,
Chimes
yes.
Association?
Right, we reject that.
And the Yales are the abutters?
That's Yale's.
So this is the Yales.
Tom and Deborah and Ed Tide, the same
Okay.
entity. You know,
Okay.
okay. I'm
Is
sorry.
is the intent, I guess this is hollowed out in the center?
Yeah,
This
yes,
is a
I
string
believe it
of
would be, yeah.
of
There's no way we're
floating
gonna-
docks.
It's a series of floating docks, yeah. Fairly expensive arrangement. I might
And do
add,
we
too.
know what that overall dimension is? This little sketch says 50 feet, but this looks quite a bit,
Yeah, see, that's 26.
I don't have my trig
Yeah, I know.
hat
So
on.
I would say it's probably 50 feet across there.
Yeah?
Yeah. Pretty
All
much,
right.
yeah.
So Joe, would I be correct in saying that octagon shape that the Yales presented,
Rhombus, yeah.
that hasn't been presented to this board?
Oh, absolutely no.
Okay,
In
so-
fact.
So that hasn't even been a consideration? So
No.
It's just been this one here?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, what we did is, in an act of good faith since it was represented to us, we went to the other agencies, since he said they certainly would approve it, you know, it certainly left that impression. I don't know what the basis of him saying that, but he did. So we went to them and said, what do you think? So, I mean, personally, I tried to keep you saw the letter I sent them, I tried to keep that objective. No one asked me for my opinion until afterwards. And my opinion is, no way would you build something like that. That rhombus design, six-sided.
So when we last were together back in September,
Right.
the word that came back was that we all were on a path to working this out
We were trying to.
among the
Right.
Gales and the Chimes
That was
people.
absolutely an effort, yep.
So that didn't work.
They came up with a proposal that frankly was unacceptable, and I'm not saying that was their plan, but it was undoable. You know, I think from a marine contractor point of view and just from a practical point of view. So.
And that was a proposal by the combined group or
The rhombus
somebody?
design, the rhombus design was a proposal brought to us by Tom and Deborah Yale
I
through
see.
the association meeting.
I see.
We met with them specifically
Okay.
to hear them out. After your meeting, I might add too, which is what you asked us to do.
Yes.
We tried to give it some consideration, we weighed it, we looked at the size, and we looked at the practicality, and this design we hear is so much more straightforward. I think this is what we're coming to the board with tonight.
And did you share these responses?
They've seen everything.
With the Yales?
Yeah.
Okay.
What did the Yale say?
The Yales,
We need to know, I mean, they're
Yeah.
part of this.
yes, I know they're part of it, and frankly, I can't speak for what people did, but the next thing we knew, the code officer had it, and he sent his own view of it to the DEP and the Corps. I've never had anybody ever do that before. He took it upon himself to represent a butter, but he did. I've got correspondence here if you want to see it. That's the path he took. He went to the code officer. So.
I wouldn't make any decisions until you get both parties in the room. I mean, I don't know why, with all this correspondence going on, that doesn't include the Yales and doing all the research to shoot down their proposal while they're not sitting here.
Well, I think we're not responsible for them, frankly. We're here representing the board. They have the same public right as we do to be aware of what's going on and to come to meetings. And we're here.
Go ahead, Wendy, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'm looking for the email correspondence, so
Yes.
please.
Hi,
Stand up,
Max.
state your name, please.
Max
Ross. One point I don't think has been brought up, and I know there was some concern about the size of this project. We've been on the waiting list for a mooring for over 6 years. There's no moorings available when they got, there's only 2 of the 5 properties that have existing moorings now. So effectively, 3 of the 5 association members have no access to this dock, and that is one of the biggest impetus of trying to move forward so we all can enjoy and be able to share this resource. So I don't know if anybody was aware of how long what the waiting list is to get a mooring.
I'm aware of it.
Yeah. In fact, the Yales have a mooring as well as a dock, but we haven't been able to get one yet.
Say, Joe. Mind if I go?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah.
This is the diagram
Right.
of
That's not just real.
I know, it's on this.
Yeah, yeah. We're sorry. Thank you. You showed us the rhombus.
Okay.
Yeah, I would compliment you all on doing exactly what we asked, to try and work out something in a neighborly way. You obviously have done your due diligence. I'll speak for myself that unless we can verify that the Yales were informed that this was on the agenda tonight and they declined to come, then I feel I can't make any sort of decision, only because I don't have the butters properly notified and able to represent their view. I think that's just fair and equitable.
I agree with you, Wendy, and I think the Yale should be present, and so we can have a discussion and get this ironed out. Go ahead.
Is there an obligation to notify everybody? Because I didn't get any notice that we're on the agenda tonight. That came from within our group. So if you're saying that we have to notify the Yales,
The meeting.
you should have notified us. Fair's fair.
This didn't go through the normal process.
So-
I mean, normally, you do get notification.
Get notified
If
normally.
you're going to do a Wharves and Weirs hearing, and submit an application. But there was just an email saying, can you put us on the agenda?
there.
So I don't know what the intent was.
We've already gone through the wheres and wheres.
You have.
For this
you have,
plan.
You have, and you
Twice.
know, this plan, 1 and 2, have been presented. If the Yales were here right now saying, yeah, we're fine with that, that probably would change the whole evening. But they're not here.
Suppose they were here and they say, even though we made a presentation, so what, we still don't like it. Frankly, there's a lot of stuff that they presented to you, such as the aquaculture project, which is a red herring. And I think you got to read into it. I actually talked to DMR.
Probably the aquaculture is not relevant to this
Right.
decision.
That's right.
I'm,
Well, they were saying,
agree.
we were saying that we're taking up space where they would put their aquaculture project.
We're concerned about the dock.
Yeah.
And what you're doing to
Sure.
the dock, period.
Right.
yeah, this is not
Nothing
an
else.
aquaculture.
I mean, I read the lawyer's report, I mean, you know,
Yeah.
and I'm telling you right now, I'm concerned about this dock. And that's what I'm concerned, well, the board's concerned.
Concerned, and that's what's before you. So,
Yes.
Yeah, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I do have a question as well, and please, because I don't know the answer to this. We're not asking for a variance or anything exception from our abutters. So in essence, is there some protocol that they have to be here or not be notified? I mean, we're asking to do exactly what the law and the state says that we can do within the rights. We have a letter from our attorney saying that we have the right to build this dock. So I'm curious why the abutters have to be here. If we're not asking for anything other than what the law allows us to do, as far as our interpretation.
I think you're correct. I think my view, and this is just my view, obviously not of the board, in terms of just process, and forget for a moment whether this is a good design or a bad design, just in terms of process, there has been a public hearing, there has been a well-publicized meeting. This has been before us for how many months now? I think you're owed a decision. Now, as a matter of courtesy, I happen to think that it would be a good idea to touch base with the abutter one more time. And I do think that the notification of tonight's meeting was not up to our standards of public notification of our agendas, since this came out at the last minute. But in terms of just this application, I don't see any requirement that you be here, that the abutter be here, that anybody be here. We have all the information, we've had the public hearings, the decision is in front of us for ours to make. So in terms of strictly due process, I don't think there's any reason to. In terms of the fact that this tonight happened at the last minute, and just as a matter of courtesy, not as a matter of law, it would be appropriate to contact the Yales. That's what I feel.
I don't know if this happened at the last minute. Tom, I think I emailed you around, I'm not sure, November 9th. I thought there was a meeting in between here.
You may have done everything ahead of time, but
Yeah.
we didn't see it until.
We didn't see it.
I think the big issue here is that, yeah, you did ask to be on the agenda, but none of these materials were submitted for review, nor
We've had them all.
Yeah,
a lot of this stuff.
No, a lot of the new
this
stuff.
is new.
The new stuff is irrelevant.
Doesn't
It's not
matter.
part of the application.
Irrelevant.
These.
But had this crossed my desk, Phil, I would have said, shouldn't the Yales be here?
Yeah, I
I
understand,
didn't know
but,
this was happening.
but all of the stuff about the hexagonal dock is,
You're right.
in fact, not part of any application. It was an
Right.
attempt to
And unfortunately,
meet, and let me echo what you said. I'm glad you guys did it. I'm glad the Yales did it, and I'm glad you participated in a discussion. It did not yield the results we might have hoped it yields, but the fact of the matter is, there is a legitimate application in front of us that has nothing to do with any of this. This information doesn't pertain to the application, and therefore we could vote up or down on it.
and if I can just interject, the meeting that we did have there, we tried to explore other options, but there just wasn't
Yeah, that happens sometimes.
there were no other options to talk about.
Right,
So
right, yeah.
we're limited by the ledge, we're limited by what they want to see out of their window, we're limited by, there's so many limits on this that the L is the one that is currently submitted and is the one that everybody seems to be the happiest with. The Stoddards were happy with that at the Wars and Weirs meeting. We just we don't know what else to do at this point to make this go forward.
Frankly, I think it would be appropriate since now we're not meeting the week of Christmas, to have this on the next Board of Selectmen with appropriate notice of the abutters and everyone else. And they can choose if they want to come, but we can make a decision at that meeting. But I do think there needs to be, I guess, ample notification, just to make sure that people's opinions are able to be voiced, so. And that, I'm sorry, that delays your process,
When
and it
is
seems
that
as
date?
if it is,
When is the date of the
December
next?
8th.
Pardon me?
December 8th.
Could we
Oh,
make
that's right.
sure that
Yes,
any
sorry,
questions
December 8th.
that Joe would need to answer can be, if you all have any questions, so that we don't necessarily have to have everyone from Chimes in attendance again? And a lot of our residents aren't here full-time, so they're traveling from various locations to come, and I don't know if
I don't
there's.
see a problem with that.
No, and
We can do
the
that.
other thing that we haven't talked about is I think we should touch base back with Jeff Smith.
Yes. Absolutely. We need to touch with Jeff Smith. Tom.
Yeah, he should be here, right?
Yes.
I believe,
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
agree with you.
is, I'll take one exception to your statement, Bill, that I agree, this is the application we have in front of us. But I think the information back from the DEP and the Corps is helpful information with regard to the feasibility of the compromise, which it appears as if, based on their opinion, the compromise is really a no-go. So that, in many ways, moves us on in the process, and I
Right.
appreciate receiving that information.
I did not mean to imply
Yeah.
that whole process was not important and relevant.
Yeah,
But the decision to go
Right.
with a modified design is the applicant's, it's no one else's.
yes, yeah. So I don't see, I think we've looked at enough drawings with specificity of dimensions and
Yes.
where, et cetera, that I'm not sure that there'll be additional questions that would require your technical expertise at the next meeting. At least that's my opinion, but I, certainly if there's any discussion, somebody may ask a question that we're unable to answer based on the drawings that are here. I wouldn't think that would be the case, but I would say the probability of having to come en masse is relatively low to add any new information.
So,
What is the status of the permitting?
We have all the permits.
We have permits for this one.
We have the DEP permit, yes, the Corps, and the submerged lands. And they've been all sent to the code officer.
Okay.
In fact, we wouldn't be before you until they were, so.
so the wish of the board is to December 8th be on the agenda, and you're going to represent Chimes. Anybody else wants to come as
With their
well?
help.
So who is responsible for notifying the heirs?
We will.
Is that
We
your
will.
job?
We will do it. I apologize that we should have done it, and we did not do it. And everybody, when you have these type of things, everybody needs to be notified, all Justin landowners. It's only honest to do it. Thank you very much, everybody. Yes, go ahead.
Thanks, sir.
State your name and.
Dexter Morrison.
Yeah.
Proceedings with my wife. Originally, Mr. and Mrs. Yale objected to this on the basis that we weren't authorized to do this. Okay? When we did meet, they came forth and proposed the rhombus design, which pretty much establishes that they understood at that point that we have a right to submit this application. Had we agreed to the rhombus, it would be a fait accompli. They don't have to be here, we don't have to be here, but the Corps doesn't like the rhombus. It's too much. Now, one of the objections that Mr. and Mrs. Yale have, and I appreciate this, is part of this interferes with their sightline. Now, where's Joe? Somebody from the Corps said, we're not concerned with what you see from your window. We're concerned with what people see from the water. Hence, the movement to association docks rather than 5 structures stringing out in the water. So I understand what you're saying, and I appreciate that. But it seems to me that you have the application and you have the approvals, and it's time to make a decision.
Thank you.
Can somebody tell me what the purpose of having the Yales here is, or any of this? This is a vote that's in your lap. We proposed the dock. None of us have to be here, other than discussion. And we've been over all this previously, at the last meeting last summer.
I think it's a matter of...
So I'm wondering what the purpose is.
I think it's a matter of just transparency and proper notification, that when there is a known objection from an abutter, that the abutter has as much chance to come and show up to make, say, either give us final facts or a final plea before we reach a decision. Just as if you were in the abutter in the reverse situation, that you would want to have a chance for your say. Since the last thing that I think Board of Selectmen talked about was go back and see if you can work on something between the two of you, and that was where we left it with both you and the Yale. So in order to come before us and say, we need for you to make, it's time to make a decision, I think that that's an opportunity where everyone that's been involved in the conversation needs to have an equal chance to show up when we make the decision. I know if it were my property and I was an abutter, or I was the one doing something and my neighbor didn't care for what I was doing, I think both of those parties at least have the opportunity to be notified, and if you want to show up, make your opinion heard, I think that's the most transparent way to have a full and free decision.
Thank you, Wendy. Any other comments?
Yeah, I just want, you may or may not know, I do this kind of permitting all over the state of Maine. And I would say that generally, including town house where I come from, once you had the public notice, the public wasn't aware hearing, then it's the burden on every participant that to keep track of the process and follow it. And no hand-holding. You come or you don't come. I mean, that's the way it is. Selectmen's meeting, it's on the agenda, yes, but whether the butters show up again, and you know, you run into things all the time, not a high percentage hopefully, because it's not, but you run into situations when people don't agree. And they're welcome to come to the meetings, and I think going forward, I hope that's the case for you.
Thank you.
Max, you brought up a point for me a minute ago that I guess I hadn't put 2 and 2 together. Your statement about no more moorings
Correct.
available.
Mhm.
That's a little bit different than this proposal was presented to us last time. I remember, I think it was Vic Taylor who
Who's talking about getting
talked
off on the
about
hook, right?
being older and not wanting to climb from a small boat
Right.
to
No, we don't have that option.
at a mooring. So, yeah. So then the goal really is to find a place to put your boat, period.
We'll be able to use, yeah, absolutely.
And your intent is to moor it at a float.
Yeah, there's no more room.
There's no-
For more moorings.
Okay.
Which is,
Got it.
it's the only pretty much common practice in that code. Right along the entire embankment, I think everybody's on the floats. Excuse me, going up, I'm sorry, the road parallel, the one that goes up to a joint.
Macon Point, yeah.
Town Point Road, yeah.
Right.
Everybody on that side
Right.
is on the mooring, is on the floats.
Right.
Okay, I think we can close this out now, and we'll be meeting on December 8th.
Okay.
Hopefully, we can get this done then.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for being so thorough. Yeah, same time.
Same time, yeah.
Yeah, that only works once for us.
During the summer, they will come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey, tell the junior selectmen they can come on in now.
Get their badges.
Yeah,
My wife and I came all the way from Florida this morning.
is that
to be
right?
here.
Well, I am sorry for that.
So why?
Okay, next item on our old business agenda is further discussion, should you wish to have it, on economic development.
I think we were at the point where we were pretty much in agreement on endorsing and signing the agreement to form the joint committee that would focus on economic development. We had talked about trying to publicize the appointment of, or at least drum up interest of committee members, particularly from the business community, and the agreement of the initial 50/50 investment in starting the process with joint sort of seed funding from both towns, if that's, if I'm not mistaken.
You are correct.
You were right.
Right, so I don't think since we last met in workshop, I don't think we've seen an updated version of the agreement, so I'm not sure that, other than talking at a high level, that we all agreed upon it, that when we last met at the workshop, if we can really, there's really anything more to say about that, but it might be worth having a conversation, particularly if anybody has ideas on how to recruit volunteers for the committee. Because as you pointed out, we were looking for 1 selectman and 4 people from the business community, right? 4 or 5?
I would have to look at that.
It was 1
from
selectman
memory.
from each town, the town manager from each town, and 4 others.
4, yeah, I was right, 4 people, so I think our hopes, I guess I was thinking our hope would be that we would find, that we would hope that we would get some volunteers that might represent a broad area of the different businesses that we have here in town.
So have we put that word out to the community, or?
Well, it was on the
think-
front page last
page.
week.
Right,
Yeah.
there's also a joint ad that was sent to Kathy Frizzell last week that's going to run in the register for the next 3 weeks. Jim Chaosis and I put together an application that's joint between the 2 towns. I've already received an application already. Happens to be from somebody from Southport, but, you know, it's an application. And so the word is out.
The word is out, great,
So-
excellent.
Hi, Wendy.
Oh, it's also up on the town website as well.
I'm just curious, in terms of our tax information, do both towns have, mailing or identification that identify the businesses in our Booth Bay Harbor area that we could even send a targeted mailing to business owners? Or are all our tax rolls just individuals?
Well, it's not real easy to pull that without doing it manually. I mean, we don't have it, I don't think Trio separates them by,
We don't have differential tax rates, so it's all
Right.
just one.
Okay.
Don't have one.
All right,
It's not
I was just
great.
trying to think of a way to try and hit everyone that would be a little bit more even. Now, Tony Cameron has come to all of our meetings, so I think it would be a great,
The chamber, I think.
yeah,
Chamber has a big list of all kinds of things.
yeah, they have a distribution list of at least of their members.
Yeah.
That gets out to a lot of people.
yeah, and perhaps we could gin up a small newsletter item that they could send out to their members that just talk about the Economic Development Committee and how we're looking for volunteers to serve from both Booth Bay and Booth Bay Harbor. And certainly if the chamber has a meeting and one of us is available, we could go and
Right.
talk at the chamber, either board meeting or if they have a meeting, about what the intent is for the Economic Development Group.
I have contacted the fishermen. I'm gonna be meeting with them pretty soon here.
Great,
I'd like to see them on the board, because that's a big industry here.
sure.
So, I'll be meeting them next week, I think, or that week after next. See what we get out of that.
Okay.
Tom, can you reach out to Tony and just see if they have any chamber
I met with him
meetings?
for an hour and a half today. I wish I'd known, yeah. Yeah, so I'll just send him the ad and have him put that up on his website. I mean, Jim is on the board there as well, so I'm sure the
Right.
chamber is very aware of what's going on with this.
Yeah.
But to see what else he can do to get this out to the chamber members. Sure.
Okay.
So how long has the word been out?
Just as.
I think
Only
since
since
our
paper.
last
Since-
meeting,
Was that the
yeah.
first?
About a week.
As far as I'm aware,
Yeah.
it's been up on the website.
Was that last Thursday's?
You said you had one applicant?
Mhm, got it.
So, not more than a few days.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
all right. We should probably let it cook a little longer.
Yeah, we're gonna
Oh,
run
I
the
think
ad
so.
for at least 3 weeks.
It's on your
So-
blog, right? On the
Okay.
web, the Booth Bay registered blog.
Yeah, it's on our website, but as soon
Because I
as
saw
stuff gets
it.
posted, it gets pushed down.
So everybody reads it.
Right, and the paper's coming out tomorrow, of course,
Right.
because it's coming out early, so the ad should be out tomorrow.
That'd be great.
Good.
Perfect. That'll be great. So I'm not sure how much else we can do tonight, except that, probably by the end of December or so, early January, we'll want to see if one of the group here will be interested in raising your hand saying that you'll agree to participate on the group as well.
Well, I think if we're
on
going
the
to make
economic
Jay the
development
emergency
group.
manager, we could make him this too, so.
You
Yeah,
just
but
wait till one
you-
person's missing.
You weren't at the last meeting, Russ, and we have some news for you.
Yeah, I think my suggestion was, who's not here?
It was Wendy
Yeah.
suggested.
When he actually ran into Chuck and said, it's got a point, he said, really, they almost lost a selectman then.
That's right, exactly. I have 2 other things just of general interest.
Okay, great.
I think I sent to you all a meeting coming up on energy efficiency in buildings and downtowns. That's coming up in conjunction with Maine Development Foundation. I'll actually be attending that meeting. I'm happy to report back. And then there are some resources from GrowSmart Maine talking about economic development in communities, and I'll share this with the folks who get on the Economic Development Committee, but they do have technical assistance resources and other things, GIS mapping, workshops and training, et cetera. So it's just another resource for us to think about in terms of trying to make your community more prosperous. So I think there are a number of things that we can capitalize once the group has a chance to gel and do some homework, so.
Super. Thanks for bringing those forward. Anything else on this topic? No? Okay, great. Any new business? No? Okay. Public forum? I don't see anybody in the public.
Denise,
Well, Yeah,
before we
sorry.
go, how's the construction? Is that gonna start down on the wharf?
8 Wharf Street?
Yeah, 8 Wharf.
Yep, it was actually supposed to start today, but it didn't, so.
Okay.
I thought they were working on it today.
Where they set
I
it
just
up
need
today,
an
I didn't
update.
walk down there today, but.
Okay.
Lisa Christoph walked down and she came back saying she had pictures, but I was only half listening because I was
So
working.
it did start today.
Okay.
It was supposed to, yeah.
Good. Thank you, Denise.
okay, you're welcome.
Is it totally gone? Oh, I didn't know.
So apparently we missed it.
Wow, already? Wow, fast
Already?
work.
We're going to have to drive home, Tom.
Yeah,
Moved it.
okay.
You missed that, Jay.
Shall we, is there a need for an executive session tonight?
I'd like to have a short one.
Okay, great.
Under I would propose we go into executive session under MRSA Section 405, 6A, Personnel Matters.
Okay.
Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
All in favor?
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going into executive session at 7:55. If everybody else would please leave the room. It's 8:27 or 8:29. We're out of executive session. No decisions were made. So before we move on to the warrants, I meant to, under old business, just mention that we received a thank you letter from the Twin Villages Train and Trolley Committee thanking us for our support of the inaugural train and trolley project from this past summer. We'll be kept in the loop as they discuss opportunities for next year. So I just wanted to mention that. Nice thank you letter there. Next item on the agenda is warrants. Can we have a motion to approve the
So
warrants?
Second.
All in favor? And a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Okay, this is not
Second.
debatable. All in favor?
Yes, aye.
Okay,
Thank you very much.
thank you.